I gave both my dogs, I split one pill, a probiotic pill, between the two of them yesterday. And especially Chance. He's been acting very strange. So, which direction do you go with this this knowledge? Max ain't acting too bad, but he's not acting normal. And Chance is acting like very strange. Now, do you keep the probiotics? Because dogs can't eat yogurt. Do you keep them coming or do you stop? My first instinct is no more. I took one myself. It made me lazy and tired, and I got a few muscle cramps that I wouldn't usually get. You got people out there trying to figure out a way to make money. You had 10 psychologists that sat down and signed on to ADHD with no science about it whatsoever. They decided that you have to have this pill called Adderall, which is one molecule away from a very powerful, there's that fly. I've been wanting to catch that fly. Adderall is one molecule away. This is a fact. It's one molecule away from crystal meth. And there's people looking to make money, figuring out a way to make money. They come up with the COVID. Whether it was to kill people or whether it was to make money, it's uncertain, but it could be a little bit of both. And here's the thing. I think it's more important what God gave you than what the propaganda of do this or do that, because, Adderall is $1 billion industry. And they're not on your side. They're thinking up stuff. In a post like this, when I talk about something like this, it doesn't get but about 20 views or less. But I think I've seen enough. With Chance's reaction today at the park, he was super paranoid. See, you can't put everybody in the same category because some dogs are skittish, and then there's no testing what probiotics do for a dog that has a condition like it being skittish. I think Max is healthier than Chance. I think I'm going to throw the probiotics in the garbage can. I've spent decades vets trying to tell me how to make a dog not itch. I'm talking about dogs without fleas. Make a dog not itch. I listened to what they said adamantly, and it never worked. And they probably know from feedback that it doesn't work. When the doctor sees the dog again, he asks about the scratching. No, doc, the dog's still scratching just the same. But do you think he says, well, I'll quit following those directions and giving that advice because it don't seem to work? No, he's going to continue because that's money for him. He's going to continue with that little skit, that little role of do this and do that. First 10 years, I never seen a vet for anything, and my dogs lived to be 10, right around 10 years old. The next 40 years, I started seeing vets, and I would get shots and do what you're supposed to, and still the dogs lived around 10 years old. When they sign on the chemicals, chemical companies, they give your dogs chemicals instead of holistic medicines. That's your first sign that they don't care for you. When you tell a vet, well, that antibiotic, my dog doesn't like it at all, And they don't say, well, we'll change to a different one. They'll say, well, it's got to be that pill because that takes care of the female parts. That's the one that takes care of the female parts best. You're hearing a man talking about what he's trained to do, rather than try to listen and absorb your circumstances and adjust around your needs. Bad reactions on that antibiotic. Well, that's the one we got to go with. That's no good. The whole thing is set up to make money, and that's why I have dogs that die before I put them in the hands of vets, because they're dying the natural way. Vets want to put poison in your dog's blood to kill a flea, and that's if the flea bites. And there's people that'll follow that. And they'll do what they say because they trust. They trust too much. Sadie died before her time, but she was all natural. Taylor died with a tumor of some kind. Right there where they cut into her to fix her 6 years before that. No, actually she was 1 year old. So that had been 7 years before that. She got a tumor right there where they cut. You can draw your own conclusions, but my conclusion is she might have lived longer if she wasn't fixed. I've had many dogs that never was fixed, females that never were fixed. They would go through their period, and I'm talking the whole lifespan, go through the period, discharge, and do that for about 5 or 6 years, and then they're done. They just quit doing it. I've never had a purebred like Sadie. I guess maybe purebreds are different. But everybody has, well, I don't have money, and I don't have insurance, and I can't really afford to care. The care ain't all that. These people don't have when people show the traits or the actions that I just talked about, they don't have your concern for your pet, and you don't need to be seeing them anyway, even if you had money or the greatest insurance, because they'll do things for profit. And that's what's wrong with the medical industry. Humans or dogs or medical for anybody. They're there to make money. They're there not to take and learn all this education and sit back and hope that you stay healthy and don't come see them. They're not there for that. And they don't listen. I had a surgery on my back that went bad. The doctor sent me to a shrink. The shrink said, don't have any more back surgeries. The doctor didn't want to admit that he made all that pain. Caused me to lose my job. He had to stick with the training because, admitting that he screwed up my back knocks him off his pedestal. So here you got a psychopath doctor that's taking training, and one after the next, he does back surgeries that don't come out well, but he keeps doing them. And he'll look at you straight in the eye and say, I think your pain's in your imagination. And that's when you have a deep sinking feeling, the likes of which you've never seen before, and your heart feels like it just fell out your asshole. The man that created your pain tells you he thinks it's in your imagination. That's my whole viewpoint on medicine. If they really cared for you, they would help you do things to prevent you from coming to see them. But that would lower their income. They're not going to do that. It's a bad situation. It's all up to you. And here's the good news. If you just use a little bit of common sense with your dog and stay, away from vets, your dog will have a decent life. But if you're going to do abusive things like feed your dogs things that they're not supposed to eat, and in the past I've done that myself, you might end up in the hands of the people who choose chemicals over natural medicines. There's no profit in holistic medicines. There's no knowledge out there, not even on a place like the Independent YouTube, about what herbs is best for your dog when they get this, that, or the other thing. Because just like this post will not see more than 20 views, everything is fixed. The fix is in. But I think I'm not going to get my dogs anymore. I had serious doubts about me taking it, but I took it before my dogs. And I thought, well, I'll let my dogs try it. And I think we're done with probiotics. A lot of it comes down to genes. You got good genes, a dog or a human, you can get away with things. If you got bad genes, you're not going to get away with nothing. They can do tests, whether you're a dog or human, do tests on you and tell you if they wanted to. If anybody could afford the test, they would tell you how your life's going to go, whether you're going to stay mostly sick or mostly healthy. And they do that by just going through your DNA and looking at how you're created, what you're made of. And it's a very complicated process, I'm sure. But nobody wants to know that. What if someone told you, well, we did this test, and now if you continue to smoke, you will die at 45 from congested heart failure? Would you keep smoking? And say this test has been done 1 million times and it's proved to be 99% accurate. There's fools in the world that would keep smoking because they can't shake the way the world is. It's propaganda, it's censored. You're going to go their way or you're not going to go at all. And they turn to the drugs, whatever chemical. You can't even take a shower without it getting doped. All the chemicals that's in the water. But anyway, I think I'm done here. I've talked for like 13. I can't stop on 13 minutes. That ain't going to happen. You got to develop common sense. And you got to develop a history, and you got to follow the history and how things unfold and learn for yourself. And that's the best interest of your dog. And I've been around dogs for 50 years. We're coming up on 14 minutes. I'm going to get off here. Bottom line is it comes down to your DNA. And even the dogs that have good DNA, or the humans, they can tolerate the medical industry a little bit better than the people that can't. The people that don't have good DNA. So the people that the medicine could probably help have less ability to tolerate the help because it's synthetic, it's chemical, and it's nasty. Okay, that's 14 minutes. I'm done here.